Welcome to Fast Talk. I'm Chris Clark, President and CEO of the Queen Creek Chamber of Commerce. Today we're joined by Dr. Perry Berry, Superintendent of Queen Creek Unified School District. Dr. Berry, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for all that you do, and thanks for having me in.
Today we're talking a little bit about the override.
Yep.
And it's coming up it'll be on our ballot for this November, right?
Yes, sir. I think we're 40-some days out from the election day, and it's a very important election item for our school district. So I'm happy to share some information from a superintendent's perspective and hopefully answer questions that the community has about this.
So we do see a lot of these questions on social media, and we get asked them all the time. And so I'm just going to ask them the way we get them, okay?
Okay.
So tell me about why we need a new tax.
Well, when I hear that question, we hear the same types of questions. What we respond by saying this is a renewal. So this is really not a new tax. It's a renewal of an override initiative that was originally passed back in 2015 by the voters, and then it was renewed again in 2019. Now these overrides, just like a bond initiative, they have to be renewed or they start to ratchet down. It's really not an override. It's basically the voters saying, hey, we want a high quality salary and benefit schedule for our teachers. We want fine arts and elective programs. We want lower class sizes. We want to be able to recruit and retain. And so this money goes directly toward those types of things. And I'm sure you'll ask me a few more questions, but I wouldn't consider this a new tax as much as a continuation of what was approved back in 2015 with some targeted academic areas.
So this is something we're already paying.
Yep.
If we say yes,
yes, sir.
We don't see changes.
That's
it's
correct.
Not new.
Yes.
No more additional money coming out. One thing we didn't touch on that we should probably hit first. So bonds buys things.
Yep.
Override pays for, you mentioned salaries and benefits, things like that.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that, because we hear that question a lot, Chris, from parents and community members, stakeholders, where there's a little confusion. There's two types of funding mechanisms. One is for the facilities, the buses, the capital items that we use to teach. It's everything. It's the facilities. That's a bond. Now this override is really toward the people. Okay, so this is really toward additional programs, people that teach gifted programs, people that help with reading instruction, reading specialists, lower class sizes, which takes more people. So the lion's share of the override goes toward people, whereas in bonds, that goes toward building things for the most part.
So this override then goes pretty much directly into the classroom.
Yes, sir.
And it still prompts the question, why can't you just live within your means?
Yeah, it's a great question. And like I said, I think the phrase override itself almost leads to the misunderstanding of what this is. It's really not us. We are very capable of living within the state allocation, okay? But like I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier on my previous answer, this is really the voters saying, hey, we value high quality academic programs, fine arts programs, JROTC, a naval program, lower class sizes. We want to invest in our salary and benefit schedule above what the state already offers. Now, very proud to be in Arizona, so but the per pupil operating revenue in Arizona is like 48th, 49th in the nation. And so the only districts, and you do your own homework, the districts that can give raises, competitive salaries are those who have overrides in place. And so this is the thing that we like about Arizona. It's all local controlled. So the local taxpayers get to tell us through this override initiative what they value in their educational system.
So a no vote essentially gets us base model, bottom of the barrel funding.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
And we'll have to increase class sizes.
Yes, and we'll offer a high quality education, but there's less opportunities, less 21st century learning opportunities for kids. It's hard right now, Chris, as you know, in the nation, across the nation, we're in an all-time teacher shortage. The nation has never seen such a shortage of teachers. There's more teachers eligible for retirement in the next 4 or 5 years than we've ever seen. And so we're really in this weird place in education. And so it's very imperative that we remain competitive. Teachers deserve, we can never pay teachers what they truly deserve, but we want to maintain a high quality salary schedule and benefit package for these people so that we can recruit and retain the best people in Queen Creek. When I first got to the district, I wanted to remind the audience and you as well, wasn't that long ago. And our beginning teacher base salary was like, don't quote me on this, but I think it was $38,200, okay? Since that override, post-override in 2015, we've made significant adjustments to the salary schedule. Now our salary schedule, beginning teacher base salary is over $50,000. Still not enough for teachers, I recognize that, but we're competitive with our neighboring school districts and neighboring East Valley school districts so we can recruit. When I got to the district, we had a lot of great teachers living in Queen Creek. They reside in this town. They love it here, but they would go to work for neighboring districts because they could pay so much more. And so I felt like this override was very significant in us being able to recruit and retain the people that live here. Does that make sense?
Competing against the other districts is really important because you mentioned the shortage to begin with.
Yes.
If we're not paying top notch, then those teachers are going off to wherever they can get the best deal.
Right now as we speak, I was just in a staffing meeting Monday, and then again got updated today. We have one or two biology opens at 2 of our high schools. There's no applicants for us to hire right now, and so we've got to get creative, and sometimes we have to pay hard to fill bonuses for these math and science and not social studies, but sometimes those hard to fill positions are extremely expensive for us to fill for our kids.
Right, those math and science teachers in particular. So that all leads to 2 other questions that we get most frequently. First, why don't other types of schools have to go through this?
Yeah, great question. I think we have a lot of charter schools, and prior to charter schools being instituted in Arizona, the equalization formula was established and all the legislation about that was set. Okay, so they gave the public school districts the ability, the law allows public school districts to call for bonds and overrides. Then years later came the charter school system, and they have a different funding mechanism. Now they get $1,300 more per student than the public schools. You see, so I tell people all the time when they get this question, it's not, we love our charter school neighbors, but we have a $1,300 per student disadvantage funding-wise to the charter schools. We would love to be able to access the same amount of money, and we could do a lot more for that. We just don't have that. The state doesn't have the money to do that for the public schools. So we get the base level, like you said earlier, Chris, we get the base level funding support from the state, and then the voters get to tell us what kind of educational opportunities they want for the kids above and beyond that. And so this improvement allows us to keep up with those school districts that have more money. And so it's very important because I think there's 20 plus school districts, charters, private schools, public schools that we're neighbors with, that we're kind of in direct competition with for the teachers that we use to teach our kids. And we have a great district, we have a lot of great systems, a lot of great things came from this override. And I would just sure hate, as a superintendent and also as a dad of kids in this school district, I'd hate to see us take a step in the different direction.
Right, and so you mentioned there are a lot of great schools in Queen Creek, and in fact, if we didn't have those other choices, Queen Creek Unified would be completely overrun. There wouldn't be any possibility of having enough space for everybody. We'd be in much more crowded than we currently are. And that's probably the second question that we get, which is if we weren't accepting so many out-of-district kids, there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. The out-of-district open enrollment question typically comes up, Chris, when we're calling for a bond, because that's what we use the money to build space. But it does come up occasionally with the override discussion. But, I tell people that, in the state of Arizona, the legislature, the governor's office value parent choice. Okay, so first of all the laws protect a parent's right to choose where they want to send their kids. I believe in that. I like that. I like for parents to have the choice to send their kids to school A or school B. That's fundamentally what I'm about. That's what our legislature is about. So there's laws that protect a parent's right to send their kids wherever they want. So that's a misunderstanding in large part because people think that we can stop out-of-district open enrollment.
You just cut it off.
Yeah, you can't. So that's the first thing I would say is that even if I wanted to, and I don't because I value parent choice, we couldn't. The law explicitly states you have to accept them if you have space. Now, we've had a couple of classrooms, a couple of grade levels where we've had to establish waiting lists because of the space. But for the most part, we have space, so we have to take them. That's rule number one. Rule number two is that we get funding for those kids. So we get the backpack, whatever you want to call it, the backpack funding clause. The money follows the kid regardless of where they show up. So it's kind of a misunderstanding where they feel like the local people are paying for the out-of-district people. That's not true. They bring their same funding.
The kid brings money with them.
Yep, same amount. So, yeah, it's a very good question. We've spent a lot of time. We're trying to do a good job of, giving examples of how, a lot of people think that we've got this excessive number of open and out-of-district open enrollment. We don't. We have don't quote me on this, but I think it's right just over 20%, which is less than the state average. So it's right in line with where everyone else is. We lose a lot more students. I think we're in the neighborhood of 10,000 kids that don't choose to come to the public school system in Queen Creek. They go to other schools, but we gain about 20%. So just it's interesting to share those facts. And usually when I talk to a parent or a community member about this, they're like, wow, I've had a lot more success in explaining this when they know the facts about open enrollment.
Right, and regardless, even with all of the choices, the other schools, everything else, QCUSD is still the fastest growing in the state?
Yes, sir. That's a very good point, and we're very proud of that. I tell my board and everybody all the time, that's a good problem. That reflects, the parents in this community have a choice, and they can choose among 20 private charter schools, public school district neighbors that are great school districts. But we continue to get double-digit enrollment numbers, and so I'm very proud of that. That reflects their satisfaction with the quality programs, the quality teachers, the climate, the culture, the communication at their school. Now, we can always get better. We know that we've got lots of areas where we can improve, but I feel like our current board did great things through a very difficult COVID pandemic and listened to the community. They've done a lot of things that really make this a district of choice, and that's why we're the fastest growing. A district that gets a 3-4% enrollment growth a year is very happy, and we're double digit. So I don't know. I'm happy about that, but it kind of keeps me up at night because we're always there's unique challenges to that, Chris.
Always catching up.
But I brag to our teachers all the time, you're the reason why we're the fastest growing district in the state. You are the reason why parents are choosing this district over the 20 other people at a faster pace. So
that's great. You've mentioned it a couple of times, so just in wrapping up, that this specifically goes to classroom. So without the override continuing, you mentioned that it starts tailing off. In other words, the funding starts decreasing over the next few years and then goes away.
That's correct.
And so then class sizes have to be increased because there won't be enough teachers.
Yeah.
And then some of the programming goes away.
Yeah, this is like I said, the original question you asked, Chris, most of this money's tied up in staff, okay? So staff for reduced class sizes that our community and parents value. Improved salaries and benefits that our community values for their teachers. It's those special fine arts programs, music programs, gifted programs, JROTC. We have one of the state's best JROTC programs, tremendous leadership opportunities. That's tied into this money. And so there's all kinds of very difficult, unfortunate decisions that we'll have to make. Now, the way it works is, generally speaking, this 15% to our budget is about $15 million total. Okay, so let's just say, worst case scenario, fails again, like board calls for it, fails again year 2, fails again year 3. Then you would be cutting $5 million a year out of your M&O budget. $15 million is a lot of money. And so Our staff, Amber and her department, have done a great job, and they've engaged our board on what that phased reduction plan would look like in year 1, year 2, and year 3. And there's a lot of personal programs that I love for my own kids and for the community's kids, and things that I've learned to love about this school district that would go away. But I'm going to tell you all the time, we're still going to offer a high quality education. It's just going to, I like what you said. I think that's a good depiction of what it's a very basic model of, it's like the stock car with no bells and whistles.
The stripped out version.
Yeah, the stripped out version.
School will still be open.
You know, and you know this as well as I do, being in the president of the chamber, is how closely tied quality schools are to your property values. And the sign of a great community is the community, the houses, the industry partners, the commercial, but the K-12 system's equally important. Post-secondary, we have great opportunities. We want to continue to be a viable partner to the strong economy that's bringing the people to this community. And I think that, one of the first, our realtor partners say the first or the second question a prospective home buyer asks is, guess what?
Yeah, how are the schools?
Yeah, where's the school and what's the quality of the school? Mm-hmm. And they make decisions on where they live and where they reside on that. And there's lots of great options, but that's why I'm very proud to say we're the fastest growing. I think they recognize quality and they're choosing Queen Creek.
Well, Dr. Barry, thank you so much for that information.
Yeah.
Is there a place people can go to get more information if they need it?
Yes, sir. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me. But yeah, there's all kinds of factual information. It's not persuasive in any way, but it's all factual, all approved by attorneys on our website. And it's all the stuff that we've talked about and even more. There's visual representation, all kinds of graphs, and everything that you want to know. One-stop shopping on the override link on our homepage. So,
wonderful.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.